Hey everyone, in this video we're going to see how we can onboard to a SageMaker domain. So first sign into your AWS account, and once you are in your AWS management console and on the search bar search for SageMaker, and once you see this service Amazon SageMaker, just click on it and then you will arrive to Amazon SageMaker console. And you can see all these options just like here, and there is one option called as domains. So we need to configure or we need to onboard to a domain at this clicking on this icon. So basically we need to onboard to a domain in order to access SageMaker's studio or Canvas in our studio. For Studio Lab, it's actually a free service where we can use AWS compute resources to create and run our Jupyter notebooks without signing up for an AWS account. So for this, we do not have to onboard to a domain, but it's a free service. And so for all the other three, we need to onboard to a domain. So if we click on Studio, it just shows this icon saying that create a SageMaker domain. And if we click on Canvas, it still shows the same thing. And if we click on our studio, again the same thing. So first, basically, we need to onboard to a domain. So click on the domains and scroll down, and we see this option here to create a domain. So before going ahead and create a domain, we need to understand what exactly is a domain. So here's a short easy definition here. A domain includes an associated EFS volume, a list of authorized users, and a variety of security application policy and Amazon VPC configurations. Each user in a domain receives a personal and private home directory within the EFS for notebooks, Git repositories, and data files. And this is the diagram, domain structure diagram, which shows like four entities that our domain consists: a domain, user profile, shared spaces, and personal apps. So with this understanding, let's go ahead and create a domain and see what options, what configurations that we can use inside it. Just click on create domain. We can see two options here. One is a quick setup process and another one is a standard setup process. So quick setup, it says like, it will be done in a minute, and for standard setup, it will take around like 10 minutes to set up a domain. And these are all the configurations that quick setup is going to take in, and there are some customizable configurations that we can see in the standard setup. So in this video, we'll see both, but first we'll start with a quick setup. Just be on the quick setup and scroll down. Under the domain name, just give one name. This is a user defined name. I'm just putting it as this name because I have already used it. So I just got this name. And under the user profile, we can see a default user profile is getting created. If you want to remove this name and if you want to use something else in this place, you feel free to do so. You can remove it and you can put whatever name you want. And under the execution role, we can see two options. So basically, we need to provide an execution role, and to provide that, we can see two options here. One is to create a new role, and if we already have a role, we can specify that ARN here using a enter a custom IAM role ARN option. So for now, I do not have any role already created, so I'm going to create one role. So I'm clicking on this option first, and I can see this pop-up appeared, and it is asking me to specify um, this role access to S3 bucket, whether I want this role to access any S3 bucket, or if I want to specify some S3 buckets, or if I do not want this role to have access to any S3 bucket. So I'm putting it as like any S3 bucket. So this role, what is going to get created, will have access to any S3 bucket. And then I'm going to click on create role. So this role is created. So basically this role will have Amazon SageMaker full access policy attached to it. So just in case if you have a role already created, already available, and if you want to put an AR in here, then click on this option and we have to paste the AR in here. So for that, just go to IAM Management Console. In the search bar, just type for IAM and then click on this icon here. and you will land into this page. And on the roles, I can see this role which just got created. I'll click on this role, and this is the ARN that we have to just click on this copy icon, and so that ARN will be copied. We can go back to SageMaker, and then we can put our ARN here. We can paste it here, so that way we can use this option if we have already a role available. So for now, I am going to use the existing role. And we can also see some other option here, like create a role using the role creation wizard. Just click on it and we'll see what it is. Okay, so uh, it is asking us to define a name, a suffix, and the prefix it is going to take as SageMaker hyphen, and we can specify any name that we want. I'm just specifying as data scientist, and we can add any other additional details that is relevant to the role. I'm just adding in some random details here, and we can also select a persona for the roles permission. So basically this is like a more customizable one. So when you when you click on this drop down, we can see like 4 different options. One is custom role settings, or data scientist, or ML ops, or SageMaker compute role. Let's click on data scientist and see what we get. So for the network conditions and for encryption conditions, if you want to use VPC, we can enable it. And if we want to have encryption on the data, we can enable it. So for now, I'm just letting them in their default status. So just click on next. We can see that a data scientist role has got all these activities checked by default. We can uncheck them, or we can, if you want any other, if you want to add any other activities, we can still add. So we can customize the way we want it based on all these activities that are available here. And when we scroll down, we can see, like, we need, they're asking, basically they're asking us to specify IAM rules for manage ML model jobs activity. So this manage ML jobs activity, the description for it says like permissions to manage SageMaker jobs across their life cycle. So to manage the SageMaker jobs across their life cycle, it needs to have an IAM rule. So we have to click on add, and we have to put that ARN value of the IAM rule that we create for it. And same way for the managed models, and same way for the S3 buckets. So let's uncheck this and see what happens. Like manage ML models, just uncheck this one, manage ML models, manage models, and then S3 bucket access, just uncheck them. So for these activities, we do not have to specifically specify anything. Um, so it's good. Just click on next. If we want to attach any other additional policies, we can search here, search for the policies. In the search bar, we can search for the policies, and we can attach if we want any other additional policies for our role. So for now, I'm not adding anything. And tags, if we want to add any tags, we can add our tags here and click on next. And now we are in the review role state. So basically what it shows is, like, whatever the values that we have kept in step 1, step 2, step 3, we need to review it here, and then we need to submit it. So once we submit it, a new role will be created. And I do not want to submit it because I'm already creating it in a different way. So I'm just clicking on back. Clicking on cancel. It just went away totally. So on the quick setup, give the name, and the default user profile name is here, and the execution role that we have already created, and we have went into this wizard and understood what are the options there, the customizable options. And then we are back now to the main page. And we can also see another option here, enabling SageMaker Canvas permission. What it basically does is when this is enabled, a SageMaker Canvas full access policies attached to this Amazon SageMaker execution role, and this also enables time series forecasting in Canvas, and it also creates Amazon SageMaker Canvas forecast role and attaches the Amazon SageMaker Canvas forecast role policy to this role. So that is what it does. So let it be in that enable status and click on submit. So it says preparing SageMaker domain, and it may take a few minutes to create. Let's click on the domains and we can see the status is pending. It will take some time to get into in service, and we'll be back into this discussion once this is available. So we can see the domain is in service now. Just click on this domain. We can see the default user also appears here, and we can see this launch button here on the right corner. Just click on this one and we can see studio, canvas, and collaborative spaces here. So I'm not going into much depth here, but we can directly launch studio or canvas or spaces from here. Otherwise we can just click on studio and we can just go from here to open studio or canvas or studio. We do not have access now, but we need to have license to do that. So just going back to the domains and seeing how we can do a standard setup, just click on create domain and click on standard setup. So it says it's going to take around 10 minutes. Click on configure and give a domain name. Let's say this is 32. And authentication. For authentication, we have two ways. One is AWS IAM Identity Center, and other one is AWS Identity and Access Management. So for this demo, I'm just using AWS Identity and Access Management. We see like there are a lot more benefits with the IAM Identity Center than with IAM. So members given access to Studio have a unique sign-in URL that directly opens Studio, and they sign in with their IAM Identity Center credentials. So when we use this IAM authentication, we must sign in through the SageMaker console. And usually organizations manage their members in IAM Identity Center instead of the domain. So we can also assign multiple member access to the domain at the same time in the AWS IAM Identity Center. So when we use this AWS IAM authentication, we must add and manage members manually one at a time using the domain control panel. So that's the difference. And then moving on, going to the permissions, we need to define execution role, default execution role and space default execution role. Since I have already created the execution roles using the quick setup, I'm going to use the same execution roles here. So the main important thing is that these execution roles needs to have Amazon SageMaker full access. So we already have it, and then we can move on. So we need to connect to a VPC. So here's the default VPC that's available. I'm connecting to it, and let's see how many subnets are there. So here are the list of subnets that are available. I'm just connecting to one of the subnets, and for the security groups, just click on it and click on the default one that's available for this VPC. And here we can still see like two options here. This configuration is to restrict traffic to only to the VPC or internet. So if we just leave it like with the public internet only, the SageMaker domain will use default SageMaker internet access, and the VPC will only be used to access the EFS storage. If we enable this VPC only, then SageMaker domain will use the VPC. Direct internet access will be disabled. And we can use this encryption key if we want to have any encryption on the data. So I'm just leaving it with the default settings, and then I'm clicking on the next. So here we can see the studio settings. We can select the Jupyter Lab version. We can see 1 and 3 are available. I'm just selecting 3. And we can also see notebook sharing configuration here. So by default, this is enabled and the default S3 location is available here. So if you want to specify a different S3 location, you can specify it here. Just take out this value and put a different value here. So again, the encryption key, if you want to encrypt your data, then you can select the encryption key. And then the other options here are notebook cell output sharing the preference, allow users to share cell output, disable cell output sharing. So on the notebook, you have the code and the output of the cell. So if you want to share the output of the cell with the users, you can just let it be in this state. Or if you want to disable the output from the cell, you can just disable it. And we also have the SageMaker projects and Jumpstart optionals here. So these two are in enable status here. So let's see what the first one says. So the first one is enable Amazon SageMaker project templates and Amazon SageMaker Jumpstart for this account. So when this is in this enable status, the administrator can view the Amazon SageMaker built-in project templates and Amazon SageMaker Jumpstart solutions published in AWS SageMaker, AWS Service Catalog, and a launch constraint role and a project use role. These two roles are automatically created in the IAM for this account. Okay, and then the second one also looks like that, but it is for the studio users basically. So when this option is enabled, so this setting allows users who are currently using the domain execution role to create projects using the templates and Jumpstart solutions published by SageMaker in AWS Service Catalog. So it is basically to the studio users. The same thing. This is for the administrator and this is for the studio users. And then just click on next. And now we are in our studio settings page, but uh, we need to have our studio license to enable any settings here. So once we get the R Studio license, we need to add that into AWS License Manager. Once the license is added, this will be the license will be automatically detected. Just click on next. And now we are in the Canvas setting page. Um, See here the option is grayed out because the reason for this is since we are using the same execution role that we have created for the quick setup, and in the quick setup we have already enabled the canvas based permissions. So since we are using the same execution role, there is no way that we can disable it right now here. So that's the reason it is grayed out. So it is basically the same thing that we have seen while doing the quick setup process. So just leaving that ahead and then moving on for the time series forecasting, we can, so the defaults are enabled. So which is enabling the time series forecasting. If you want to disable, you can disable it here as well. And since we enabled it, we need to have Amazon forecast rule. We need to create one or we can use an existing one. I'm just leaving it as is with a create new role option. And so the it says this is the suffix that will be added to this prefix here, Amazon SageMaker Canvas Forecast Role hyphen, and this will be the suffix that will be added to the new execution role that is getting created here. And then moving on, this is the local file upload configurations. Like, enabling this option allows users to upload local files in Canvas. So I'm just leaving it in its default state. And then I'm clicking on submit. Let's click on the domains. Okay, here we see the second domain that is currently getting created. The status is in pending status. So will be back again once it is in service. So here we are. The domain is in service now. So that's for this video. Thank you for watching. Take care.